Hi, Jessica. How are you doing?
Hi, Jessica.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
We're doing great. We're doing great, Jessica. So let me give you an idea exactly of what the room looks like so that you know exactly what kind of audience you are going to be addressing. There you go. So.
Hi.
All right. So Jessica, you're going to be interacting with New Delhi Salesforce Developer Group as well as the Gurgaon WIT Group. So we've got a good gathering here as part of TrailheaDX Global Gathering. So yeah, the floor is all yours. Go on.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a wonderful afternoon. So a little bit about me. My name is Jessica Murphy. And let me start by screen sharing and show you. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Yes. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right, Mac. Work anytime this year. Okay. Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, so hi everyone. Again, my name is Jessica Murphy. And okay, so here's a little bit about me. So when I was a little kid, my mother loved telling me happily ever after stories. So fast forward to 2014. And I graduated with a master's degree. And I was so proud of myself. Like, here are the pictures. Here's one picture of me with, so you can see the back, to show that I had a master's degree. I was so proud. And it was a wonderful accomplishment. And you would think that this would be a happily ever after. It wasn't, because I graduated and I couldn't find a job. So interestingly, I looked in the job market, and in 2015, I met a woman for Women Who Code. And she said, I love teaching women to code. And I thought, really? That sounds really interesting. So I went home, I taught myself HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I even went to boot camp. And in the process of going to boot camp, I went to support a friend. It was a dine and demo for Girl Develop It. And I learned about Salesforce. I completely thought that this was not going to be a thing for me. It was all about my friend. It was not about me. And so I went with her and fell in love with the platform. So this was the leader of our Girl Develop It. And that first meeting with Salesforce, I learned from Chris Duarte, of all people. That year, I also met David Liu. And then later that year, I met Mary Scotton. So those are my first experiences with Salesforce. Pretty cool. And one would think that that would be a happily ever after, right? Well, even though I went to boot camp and learned about Salesforce, I still didn't find a job, because most places wanted me to have experience and certifications. So, all right, so I went back. Oh, wait, we were going a lot faster than I wanted to go. So I got back. And I got really busy in Phoenix. I became the co-leader of the second Salesforce Saturday ever. And this is a picture of our group, one of our very first meetings. And I started Salesforce Saturday with Rachel Watson and with Paula Nelson. And then I started Sassy Tech Socials, which is a group for women who want to network and meet other women in tech and women in startups. And I also became a volunteer for Orange County Literacy Council. So, interestingly, because of these things that I started and meeting Mary Scotton, I was invited to speak at Dreamforce 2016. It was my very first Dreamforce, and it was wild that I was speaking at Dreamforce, because this session right here was my very first session of Salesforce at a Dreamforce ever, and I was speaking with Mary Scotton and Leah Hunter. Later, a couple of days later, I spoke in the nonprofit org with Marisa Lopez and with Missy Longshore. And that was absolutely amazing. Now, even though that was cool, one of the coolest things that happened was that I went to the Girl Force breakfast on day 2. And I won. I won an opportunity to go to the Destination Success. And if you know anything about Destination Success, it's become TrailheaDX. But at Destination Success, we were given opportunities to study and take certifications. So at Destination Success, I took 3 certifications. I went for admin, app builder, and for platform developer 1. So I passed admin and I passed app builder, and then I failed platform developer 1 like I was attempting to win an award. I failed that thing horribly, but I did it anyway. So I had 2 certifications. Happy ending, right? No, not so much. Not so much, because a lot of people also still wanted experience. And I had a little bit of that. So as time has gone on, with the certifications and with all the things that I've done, I've had an opportunity to have a job. I started my own consultancy called Geek Bella, and it's been amazing. This is a picture of some of the people from the Girl Force organization when I spoke there in 2017 last year. So more pictures from 2017. So what happened in 2017, in addition to getting certifications, was that I started Women Who Dev User Group with Rachel Watson, and originally with Zane Turner, but she got hired by Salesforce. So this is a picture of our group from 2017 in Dreamforce, Women Who Dev User Group. And we did a wonderful initiative at the beginning of 2018 called 100 Days of Code. It was absolutely amazing. And women tweeted. We actually invited the entire community. People coded for 100 days and the women tweeted, and they did a wonderful job. And it was absolutely amazing. And I invite all of you to join me in 2019. We're going to do 100 Days of Code again. This is a picture from us at TrailheaDX, where we were celebrating doing 100 Days of Code, and we all had on crazy glasses. So yeah, that was our fun thing from TrailheaDX. So the story continues. You know, I'm still out there. I'm still doing all the things that make me afraid. You know, certification made me afraid. It wasn't actually easy to get all of those certifications. All the things I've done have not been easy, but I'm still out there regardless of the fear that I felt, and, you know, move forward. So this is what I learned. That endings are actually beginnings. You see, when I graduated, I thought that it was an ending. But what it really actually was a beginning for a brand new career that I never imagined that I would have. And I learned to show up. Regardless of how you feel, show up to the opportunity, show up to the meetings, show up for each other, show up. You never know what can happen, because I showed up at the Girl Force breakfast. I won this awesome opportunity to go to Destination Success, and it was amazing. And I learned about giving back. In the process of my career, I've given back. I've only been in tech for 2.5 years, right? So in that 2.5 years, I've chosen to give back at every step. So this is what I think of our career. I think of our careers like trees. So these roots represent what you come in with, right? It's what you did when you were in school. It's who you are as a person, your knowledge, what you've done in previous jobs, especially if this is a career transition. So our roots represent what you come in with. And then, okay, so the next part of our careers, in any career, is years 0 through 3. So we're going to say that that's the base of the tree. And if you notice this tree, it's giving back to the earth, because there's a little tree that is clearly mentoring, right? So as you go on, the middle part of the tree, I think of as years 3 to 5, or 3 to 5, 3 and 3 to 10, actually, really. And notice how it's growing little branches, it's giving back, and it's also giving back to the earth because those branches are allowing little leaves and little seeds to fall to create other trees. And then lastly, at the top here, the tree is creating all type of, it's offering life for animals, as well as giving back to the earth through its leaves. And so that's the importance of giving back and mentoring others. So we rise by lifting others. So mentor, help others at every level of your career, because that is how we all move forward. That's how we all grow. And find your tribe. Like, clearly right now, you're with your tribe, but your tribe is everywhere. Our Ohana is everywhere. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, they're locally, WIT groups, user group, developer groups, definitely Women Who Dev user group. We're everywhere. Find your tribe. And if you haven't, go and become certified. Certification was absolutely one of the best things that happened to me. When I started 2017, I had 0 certifications. By the end, I had 5. So, the magic is outside of your comfort zone. Get certified and volunteer, give back. So I'm grateful. I'm absolutely grateful for all the things that I've been able to do in this 2.5-year wild journey in tech. I'm proud of the pivots. I'm proud of the experiences, the opportunities. And here is my wish for all of you, that your happy endings are actually bright new beginnings that are beautiful, shining, cool, and fun, and mold you into the best version of yourself. So, tweet to me. Tell me about these wonderful life-changing things that you're doing. Here's me on LinkedIn. Here's me on Twitter. I'm in the success community. And yeah, I'm all around. So any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Jessica, thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful session. It's definitely inspiring for people to know about your story and to know that, so yeah, I can definitely say that a lot of people can resonate with your experience, because it's the same thing that we encounter here, that we're not able to, the freshers are not able to get a job in India, even, just like you had a problem with. So, maybe you can, come back with let's say, a couple of points that they should be actually looking out for, the freshers who are not looking, who have still not got the job and they want to get into Salesforce, right? Do you have any advice for them?
Okay. So of course, every time I talk to a recruiter, they talk about certifications. So definitely, if you haven't gotten certified, get certified. If you have 1 certification, get more. If you have 2 certifications, get more. And this is also another reason that I say that. They've gotten rid of starting in summer, we will no longer have to pay for maintenance exams. So get as many certifications as you possibly can. That's the first thing. The second thing is of course, to volunteer and give back. Another thing that's really, really, really important is that you put yourself out there. This was very vitally important to my career. Like, I put myself out on Twitter. Like, I gave myself challenges. So in 2016, I challenged myself with something called 30 and 30. I got 30 Trailhead badges in 30 days. I went as hard as I could for 30 days. Actually, I got more than 30. I think I got like 42. So every day I tweeted about those things. When we did 100 days of code, and this is why I keep on telling people to do this with us, 100 days of code was purely about, it was of course about coding for 100 days, but it was also about tweeting my experience. So if an employer is looking at you, then they can go on social media. If they inevitably Google you, they're going to find all of these things where you are currently working on your skills to improve yourself. So put yourself out there. I think we get in this rut, this idea that it's enough to focus on what we're doing at work or focus on what we're doing to improve, but put yourself out there. If you're not a part of a Salesforce Saturday, join your Salesforce Saturday. I can't stress that enough, because they help you through problems, but also sometimes potential employers come to Salesforce Saturday. So I think I've given more than two, but those are my thoughts.
That's a great points, Jessica. Thank you. Now, another problem that I see here. So, you know what, before going ahead, let me ask if, guys, if you want to ask her any questions, anything, right? Anything about Salesforce, about her experience, how she got into Salesforce. She has already given her story, but are there any other questions that you might have?
And she's a part of Tech, I guess, and also the Women Who Code.
Right.
Right, Jessica?
Yes. I'm actually one of the co-leaders of Women Who Code, who dev user group. Yeah.
So would you like to share the experience for the Women Who Code Tech group? So was that, few of them doesn't know there anything does exist like this, like Women Who Code and Tech. So would you like to share your experience, your ideas, why you started, how you started?
Yes. Okay.
Please.
Definitely. Okay, so this is what I was finding when I was talking with women who were developers. They were experiencing certain things on the jobs that men did not seem to experience. So I wanted a space where we could talk about these things. But then this is another thing that was happening also. Many women in the ecosystem are admins, and many of them say, I want to develop, or even if I don't want to become a developer, I want to look at the code and understand what's happening. So it was my idea to create a group specifically for that group of individuals. And we knew that there weren't enough developers in any particular city or even any particular country to have a group that was just in one place. So we made it virtual. Women Who Dev User Group meets every month, the first Thursday of every month, and we meet virtually online. So it's focused on a few things. The first thing it's focused on is to talk about things that might be happening on the job so that we can talk about it, work on it, and find solutions together. The second is about skill improvement, and that was the impetus for 100 Days of Code, so that people can improve skills. Rad Women is an amazing, amazing organization, but they are busting at the seams. They have so many applicants and not enough spaces. And then the third part, back to that. So that's why we're doing these initiatives so people can learn together. And then the last part, when we actually are together, like Dreamforce, TrailheaDX, and the new conference Connections, our idea is to come together and meet each other and actually talk about what we know or how we can help each other. Like, if this person knows Lightning or if this person knows this. So the impetus was kind of threefold. It was to, meet other, women who are developers, as well as improve skills, and just generally help each other. So yeah, of course, we are, any women developers out there, please join us. We want you. We want your contribution. We want you. And then for 100 Days of Code, that's for everybody. So all of you could join.
That's great.
Guys, any other question you want to ask from Jessica?
About the Women Who Code, about Tech, anything you want to know? Like we have many females over here. So if anybody wants to discuss anything, anything related to Women Who Code, if you are interested in coding and all, so you can ask anything about Jessica. She asked for like 100 Days of Code, so they are going to do and how they can do it.
All right, that's great.
Yeah.
So Jessica, I'm not sure whether you heard it. So she wants to know how she can get involved with 100 Days of Code or maybe Tech, and how we can go about it.
Okay. All right. So Tech is primarily based out of Phoenix, but we do have an online group on Facebook. If you tweet to me or if you message me on Twitter, I will give you the link for that. So That's sassy. In terms of 100 days of code, we did our challenge from January 1 until last month. And we did 100 days then. But anybody can start 100 days of code at any point that they want. We just did our particular challenge at the beginning of 2018, and we'll do a challenge again in 2019. And we included prizes in the challenge. But anybody can become involved in 100 days of code at any time. So it's a matter of basically starting on Twitter or on Facebook or wherever on social media and saying, hey, I'm going to code for 100 days. And that way, everybody knows that you've made that commitment. So you start there. And then you just start. And I think that in our group, the biggest difficulty people had was where to find resources. And I definitely recommend Trailhead, but I also had other resources that I found and I used for 100 days of code. And I will happily give that to anyone who wants it, because there are a lot of resources out there for just plain Java or JavaScript or anything that you're looking to learn, because it's not just a matter of, knowing Salesforce, but it's also a matter of knowing how to connect it with other systems and other things. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. Any other question?
So, Jessica, I do have a question.
Yes.
You're talking about code here. So, is it really necessary for a person to learn coding? Can't they just go with the admin certification and get a job?
Okay. So there are two schools of thought on this. Is it really necessary? Well, not really. There are people who absolutely get a job after becoming an administrator. And there also is a school of thought that the term developer is actually changing, and especially in the Salesforce ecosystem, where where Salesforce is becoming truly a low-code platform. And in fact, they kind of want it to be low-code so that when they go through all of the changes, all of these different seasonal changes that they make, that the code is that what they have is sustainable, that you don't end up hitting governor limits and all of these things. So according to Salesforce professionals, it really is changing into a low code platform. Here's another thought too. Equally, you have all of these organizations that have written code in their orgs. And so someone needs to sustain it, right? Like, not everybody's immediately changing over to Lightning, even though it seems like it's the way. Not everybody has immediately changed over. So really, we need people who still know how to develop, who still know code, so that they can read, they can figure out what's going on, they can fix problems, and those types of things. But when I talk to the Salesforce people, and they talk more specifically about Apex and visual code, they make it pretty clear that they perceive that as old technology. And that's the truth. Lightning, however, does involve, especially if you're going to be attempting to make everything look like Lightning, that's more on the front end. That's more, using the Lightning design system, which is HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. And so I think that more so than anything, the definition of developer is changing. So I know I went on a very, very long diatribe, but the truth of the matter is that you can find a job as an administrator. It's not as easy because there are a lot of administrators. So just like David Liu says, learning development took his career up to a new level. And so I absolutely took that advice, and that's what I went for.
Got it. Great. And that's great advice, Jessica. Definitely there are two schools of thought. And, I can tell you from my experience, especially in India, there are definitely very less jobs for administrators, and most of the jobs out there are for developers. All right. Now, Jessica, a couple more questions from my end, and then again, I'm not going to bug you more. I don't know how much you're aware of this, but where do you see the marketing cloud and the Pardot, or the new clouds that are coming up, right? The commerce cloud and everything. Where do you see that going? Because I see there are a lot of guys here asking about these clouds, and again, it becomes difficult to learn everything, right? So you're also working Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, then there's a Commerce Cloud, then there's Marketing Cloud. So a lot of people are coming to us and they're asking, which cloud should I work on and which technology should I learn first? So what do you say?
All right. So I say that first, always still learn Sales Cloud, right? Because Sales Cloud is like Salesforce 101. That's what I truly believe. Marketing Cloud, Pardot, all of that stuff is becoming very, very popular. But start with Sales Cloud. And I completely agree with you. There is no way to learn everything. Like, that is absolutely impossible. I think that sometimes, okay, if you're a jack of all trades, there's this old phrase, if you're a jack of all trades, you're basically an expert in nothing. So find your niche and go for it. Like, again, learn Sales Cloud first, because that's Salesforce 101. But then after that, and then also not to mention, the other reason that it's important to learn Sales Cloud is because when you're going to get these certifications that are for consulting, like Service Cloud, all of these different things, the first certification that you always need is admin. And that's why I say learn Sales Cloud first. And then after, if you think you really, really want to learn Marketing Cloud, go for it. Go for it, absolutely, and let that be your specialty. I mean, learn a lot of other things along the way, absolutely. But find a specialty, find a niche, find a thing that you're really good at, and that will serve you well.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you very much. All right, guys. So we're going to wind up with Jessica here. If there are any other closing questions that you want to ask her, yes, please go on. Right.
Business analytics, what you can study, because we need to know about the Sales Cloud and other clouds as well. Implementation as per the requirement given to us by the client. So how to start as a BA and how we can learn about the things, what are the implementation, what are the features which are given in our box functionality when Salesforce.
That's a very good question. So Jessica here, so the question is, she wants to know exactly how to start as a BA, as a business analyst. So there's definitely a lot of resources out there for how to become an administrator, how to become a developer, but there's no as such specific thing like how to actually talk to the client, understand the business, and then, implement Salesforce features or whatever the cloud that might be the best solution for the client, for them, right? So it's actually more of a experience thing. And if a person wants to get into that, maybe a old time developer, or maybe a person who's just starting out his career, there are not a lot of resources to do that. But can you advise something around that?
I think what you just said is what I absolutely agree with. Okay, so from my experience, it's like a while ago, my understanding is that a while ago, that there were basically two paths to go down for Salesforce. There was admin or developer. And then something came in the middle, and it was business analyst. And so as much as I've attempted to figure out how can someone train to specifically be that, what I'm finding time and time again is that it seems to be experience. And yeah, I think it's more so experience than anything, because I think that there are college classes that you could take, but I don't think that there is something directly that Salesforce or anybody else actually offers. So if any business analysts out there want to create a course and put it on Udemy, I think that you should. You probably make a lot of money.
Got it. Now, Jessica, one last question from my end. So we talked about BA. Totally lost my train of thought. Wanted to ask you about certifications, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud. I don't know. I totally forgot what I wanted to ask that.
Right. Okay. So we'll end by me telling a joke. Okay, guys. What's Spider-Man's job? You ready? Web development.
Oh my God. All right. Very funny. Yes. Right now, I think that joke really helped. So there are a lot of new guys. Yes, I now I remember. So there are a lot of new guys who come up to me and they say, you know what, Atul, I'm a fresher. I want to work on some real-time project, right? And then since he's a fresher, I can't actually, put him on my client's code or, client's project because he's going to screw something up. So I'm afraid about that, right? So, but these guys, again, you talked about experience, right? But again, if you don't have a job, you're not going to get experience. You're not going to get experience. You're not going to get a job. It's a catch-22 situation.
Yes,
so what should these guys do? Or maybe, if there's an experienced person and let's say they have been all their life, they've been working on, for example, Sales Cloud, right? And they have never actually tinkered around with the REST APIs, SOAP APIs, or maybe some certain feature in Salesforce that they never got to work on, right? So what should these guys do? Where should they go, right? And how can they practice around those features? What would you do? What would be your advice?
Okay, definitely Trailhead. Definitely, whatever Trailhead offers, go for it. But this is something interesting that we did in our Salesforce Saturday a while back. We came up with a made-up scenario, and we as a group did that. Like, one of the things that we did was an implementation, a full implementation on the basis of a fictitious veterinarian's office. And we came up with a full thing. And so the interesting thing about creating this scenario and doing everything as a group, we had a chance to talk everything out, but then also we had opportunity to get that experience. So when you're talking to an interviewer and you've had the experience, you don't have to say, listen, I was at my Salesforce Saturday and we did this fictitious thing and we came up with this thing. When you're talking with an interviewer, you can simply say, I've done a full implementation. So it's a matter of practicing, and practicing with a group is much better than attempting to practice with it alone, especially if you have no experience with it. So yeah, don't break anybody's org, please, but definitely get the practice. And then also, like I've said time and time again, volunteer. After you get that bit of experience, there's so many ways to volunteer. Salesforce.org has ways to volunteer. I have a whole list of organizations that you can volunteer with after you get some experience. So I'd be willing to give that as well, or organizations, at least you can find volunteer opportunities. So volunteer, that's the other way to do it. But please don't break a tools org. That's not a good idea.
All right, great, Jessica. That's really good advice. And so Jessica, thank you very much for joining us here. And I'm thankful to you, thankful to Sonika, and you two have been doing great with Women in Tech. And yeah, you're both are, and especially you, Jessica, you're a great inspiration for all the WIT leaders in India and all the women who are working, striving to become leaders and striving to get their career ahead in Salesforce and other sales-related technologies, right?
Yeah.
So great. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone. Thank you. Nice to meet all of you.
Okay, what time is it on your side?
Oh, wow. It is now 2:13 in the morning.
Oh my God.
I love my Ohana.
No. We're gonna let you go now. You take some sleep and then take some good breakfast on Saturday. It's gonna be a Saturday, right?
Yes.
Or Sunday.
It's Saturday, and I'm gonna go to sleep, wake up, and go to Salesforce Saturday.
Awesome, great. You do really love your Ohana.
Yes, I do.
All right, Jessica. All right. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.